This video tutorial is to show how to use multiple stressing commands for stays in ADAPT-ABI 2009 Build 4. In this example, we have two stays connected to a pylon at the center of the deck. We have a 24 by 24 inch deck shown below. We have two stages, day 1 and day 2, and it's important to note that we've suppressed long-term effects, creep and shrinkage, and we've also suppressed the self-weight of the slab. So we're focusing only on the stays and their forces as applied to the structure. If we double click on either of the stays, we can see that the stressing we've set is 100 kips on day 1. In the graphical interface of the program, you can only set one active stressing command for a stay. In order to set multiple stressing commands, we can go to the input file after we've generated that file. And if I scroll down to this file, you can see that on day 10 I've included an additional stressing command for the stays with a force equal to 300,000 pounds or 300 kips. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we'll execute. After executing, we'll go back to Process, View Results, and we'll toggle to day 1. If we review the deflection on day 1, we can see that the deflection on the left end, the maximum deflection, is 16 inches, and on day 10 the maximum deflection is 48.3 inches. So the program will retain the history of the previous stressing command, or the stress of 100 kips, and over that time increment we then stress the stay at 300 kips, and we get additional deflection from that stressing command. To validate this, we're going to go back to the user interface, and we're going to go to day 1, and we want to select both of the tendons. We're going to deselect them, and then we're going to reassign the tendons on day 2, and we're going to go ahead and say install tendon. We're going to install both of them, and then we'll double click on the tendon. We're going to go to stressing, and we're going to stress this to a force of 300 kips. The purpose of this is to show that the deflection will be less than what we had in the previous example, which was 48 inches, showing that the program correctly accounts for the history of loading as applied to the structure. So we'll set this stressing command equal to 300 kips as well. And now we can go back to Process. We're going to override the original input file by generating a new input file, and go back to Process, and we're going to execute. After executing the run, we're going to go back to Process. We're going to view the analysis results, and on day 10, if we display the displacement and its value, we can see now that the value is shown as 36 inches as compared to 48 inches. If we exit this, we're going to go back again to the graphical interface, and we're going to deselect both of these strands at that step, and we're just going to select them now, and we're going to install them again, but this time we're going to change the force to 400 kips. Alternately, I could have just changed the force to 400, but in this case I deselected and then I reinstalled the strands, or the stays. So we'll go ahead and set this now to 400. We'll set this to 400. From Process, we're going to generate the input data again, and then we're going to run the execution one more time. In viewing the results now, the total force, if we view the stay force, we can see it's 400 kips for each stay, and if we review the deflection for day 10, we now see that the deflection, if we turn off the display of the stay, the deflection is 48 inches, the same as what we had when we had 100 and 300 in the same stressing sequence or in the same pre-capture staging. So the history of the stress, or the history of the force, is cumulative as you add more and more stressing commands to active stays in the program. This will conclude this video tutorial on stay stressing for ADAPT-ABI 2009 Build 4.